Good morning. Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing well. Another beautiful day out on the front porch. Good morning to you. Good morning. Listen, if you're just chiming in, if you're getting live here with me, give me a little thumbs up, give me a little hello, good morning to you. If you're catching this on the replay, just say good morning. Maybe your time zone's different. Maybe your wake-up call is different. No sun, well, I didn't get down to the sunrise. Actually, it was a little overcast. But anyway, this is the Daily Dose, episode number 55, 8 a.m. Daily Dose with yours truly. And the Daily Dose, let me just share with you what this is all about. It purely is a daily dose to be encouraging for you, to provide you with some motivation, encouragement in a world that's just filled with discouraging things, discouraging news, discouraging people, attitude, anger, frustration, anxiety, stress, all those things. And while, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that we don't have still those things, but there's really kind of two options. We can choose to fill ourselves with all that, or we can start our days with encouragement and start with being filled with encouragement. And that's really my hopes, doing this for 55 days in a row, and there's no end in sight. As long as I help one person, then that's my really goal for this. And today we're going to be talking about something that's a little weird. It's going to be a little different. I'm going to share with you a little bit of my personal story. You might have seen it earlier in the post, and it's about being fat. And this by no means is going to be any kind of fat shaming, no judgments. Trust me, I've been helping people overweight, obese, fat, whatever you want to call it, for really 25 years now. And I wanted to just share a little bit of a personal story. Typically what we do on Saturdays is share our gratitude, right? And I have, if you've ever caught any of our Saturday lives, daily doses, it's about gratitude. What are we grateful for? Saturday gratitude, right? And I have typically, we do a week in review. I share the week in review with what we talked about during the week, and then we talk about gratitude. And I usually have 10 things that I kind of on the top of my mind that shared. Today, there's only one. Today, I'm really grateful, and that's what I put in the title of this live, is the one thing that I'm grateful for, which might sound a little bit ironic, right? Who's grateful to be fat? Who's grateful to be overweight or obese? And I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. But before I do that, let's go into, on a side note, before I do that, I am an online health and fitness coach. So you know, if you're catching this for the very first time, or you were like, hey, I've heard you a couple times live, I had that, what do you do anyway, right? So if you didn't know, I am an online fitness coach. I help moms and dads, busy moms and dads, with weight loss. I help them not just take the weight off, but keep it off, and help them do it without long workouts and impossible diets. You may have even noticed that I have a 21-day free challenge. It's the Lean Quarantine 21-day home fitness challenge. If you're interested in that, it's a free challenge. But again, just let me put that aside, because I want to talk to you about why I'm grateful that I was fat. I'm grateful for being fat. And while it's interesting, I have so many things I could be grateful for. This is one thing, and I saw, I kind of was going through my pictures, and I saw this come up, and it's just been resonating with me in the last several days with people I know who may be overweight, I've talked to, who've maybe put on a lot of weight during this quarantine and are really stuck. And before I get into my story, let me just share with you just a quick little review, because it's going to be pertinent to what I share with you about my gratitude for being fat. And if you're on here and I see you come on, just give me a hello. Don't worry, you know, it's okay if you don't want to. If you're interested in what I have to say about being fat or about being grateful for being fat, no worries there. If you catch it on the replay, if you found this helpful, or if you've caught this live, is all I ask is that you share this with one person. If it can be encouraging to one person, maybe it doesn't even resonate with you, but you know somebody that might be encouraged by it, then by all means, all I ask for you to do is to share this with a friend. So just a quick week in review, Sunday through Friday. Sunday, we talked about how to prepare for the next season. On Monday, we talked about overthinking, how to stop overthinking things. Stinking thinking, if you remember that. On Tuesday, we talked about what you're hungry for and being hangry. If you remember that, I talked about hunger and hangry. And on Wednesday, we talked about how to eliminate limitations, to truly eliminate or reduce limitations. On Thursday, how to make a way when there is no way, or where there was, or you never thought there was a way possible, how to make a way. And on Friday yesterday, we talked about waiting for the perfect timing. Now, all those titles and what I talked about, you can go back and watch them. Just go back and look for episode. I put the episode number and the title of it. You can go in the back. They're pretty much in sequence. If you click on videos, you can go watch those. So, you know, as I'm reading through those, it really started to resonate with me about this just past history of mine being fat. And you know, fat can mean a number of different things. And again, I'm going to say fat because there's no sense in just kind of beating around the bush or being light about it. And you may think of fat as 5 pounds overweight. You may think of fat as 50 pounds overweight. You may think of fat as 150 pounds overweight. Regardless of what that looks like, I'm just going to say that, and I'm going to be clear, again, it's fat. And, you know, one of the things I'm grateful for today, and the one and main thing, is I'm grateful today that I'm not fat. At the same time, I'm grateful that I went through a period, a season of my life where I was, and I considered myself fat. And it was a hard, you know, it was a hard time. I was really, really struggling. I was in a period where I was in college, and, you know, you think of like, okay, you put the freshman 15 on, and, you know, I was over 200 pounds, 215 pounds, 38-inch waist, really struggling. I had switched colleges, and I was failing out of college. I actually failed out of the program that I was in. I had to switch colleges. I went to 3 different colleges. And was kind of like broke. You know, you're a college student, you're broke. I had enough to survive. I wasn't like in dire need, but I mean, I didn't have any money. I was, you know, in a bad spot. I was even pursuing a career that you kind of needed to be. Well, there's plenty of therapists, physical therapists, and plenty of healthcare providers who aren't healthy, which still boggles my mind how you could be a medical care provision, a healthcare provider, and not be healthy, and you're helping people to get healthy. But that's a whole nother topic. Maybe we'll talk about that daily dose another day. But we can say is, hey, good morning to me. Good morning to me. Good morning to you. Good morning, Lonnie and Kathy. I appreciate it. Hey, Mo, what's up? Mo, what's going on? Good morning, Guy. I appreciate you. Hey, Jeanette, thank you for being on here. And Guy, I appreciate you as well. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, you know, I was in a really hard spot, and I, you know, as a way for me to fill the void when I was going through a tough time in college, failing out of college, relationship problems, it was tough being away from my family, you know, all those things. I just was consuming food. I was eating and drinking and partying and doing all those types of things, and I thought that that was something that could just, I guess, numb the pain. And I even knew going into, you know, that kind of season, I have family history of obesity, parents, family members, that sort of thing. So that is something that was prevalent in my life. So again, but I didn't think about it right much. I was just for selfishness, for me, what's going to satisfy me? Eating, you know, it was terrible. I felt terrible. And I remember going on a spring break, and this is just a side note. I was on a spring break where, you know, I didn't have any money. I remember so embarrassed on like a jet ski. We were going jet skiing. A friend really basically paid for my spring break. I had, you know, no money to do it. I was really uncomfortable. And here I am going away on a spring break where you're going to be like with your shirt off, a bathing suit, you know, it was in a lake and lots of people with the bathing suits on. And I was so uncomfortable. Gosh, it was like that really like pit smell, kind of uncomfortable. Like, oh, it was bad. I was in a bad spot. And, you know, why I say that I'm grateful today for 2 things, that I went through that then and now where I'm not, and actually have been pursuing really for the past 25 years, not just my own health, because I never want to get back there, but helping people in the same pursuit to get healthier, to lose weight. And it's kind of crazy. And, you know, I'm going to say this, and this is something that I think sometimes we overlook if we're maybe in our own dark spot, our own unhealthiness, is it's really a terrible issue. Being fat, being obese, being overweight is a hard thing to swallow. And let me just share this with you. Did you know, check this out. Here's some stats that kind of blow me away. And to know this kind of, it drives my passion for why I want to help many people, as many as I can, why I'm trying to build my program so I can be as influential in people's lives so that they don't have to either go through what I go through or continue to go through being obese, because there's terrible repercussions. If you hadn't known that already, here's the thing. Did you know since 1970, I did a little research just so you know, and I looked it up, research, not that it's any surprise, but how about these stats? Did you know since 1975, the obesity population in the world, obesity population tripled. Do you realize that there are over 2 billion, we're not talking 2,000, not talking 200,000, 2 million, 200 million, 2 billion people in the world overweight. 2 billion people. Check this out. Over 650 million people are considered obese to the standards. And I'm not going to get into like, what are you considering standard? It doesn't matter, right? The reality is the number is freaking astronomical, and it's only going up and up. And shoot, even this coronavirus and lockdown and all that stuff, I can't even imagine what the number is going to be in the next year or two. And it truly should be. Yes, the coronavirus and, you know, that's getting it and COVID and all that stuff, that should be terrifying. You know what's even more terrifying to me is that there's over 650 million people obese. Check this out. Most of the world's population live where obesity, check this out, this is crazy. I didn't even know this. Most of the world's population live in an area where obesity kills more of the population than people that are underweight. That's crazy. How about this? This one like hits here. This hits here. Because if you think, okay, for ourselves, but what about the next generation coming? Check out this. This is really, really scary. Over 38 million children globally. Over 38 million children under 5 years old and under. 5 and under. Just, I want this to resonate. Please resonate this. 38 million children under 5 years old or more are considered, in 2019, I'm not talking like 10 years ago, I'm talking last year, over 38 million children under 5 are considered overweight and obese. That is freaking scary. If that's not scaring you, that should scare you. Again, there's a gratitude though, I want to share this with you. Not about that. Those numbers are just crazy. Here's the most difficult probably pill to swallow in the stuff I looked up. Guess what? There's a news flash, and it hasn't changed from when it started, since obesity started, wherever that, the whole, like, if you go back generations and when obesity started, way, way back in the dark ages, is obesity is preventable. Obesity is preventable. Did you know that? Of course you did. It's preventable. Obesity is preventable. Crazy. And guess what? Here's the thing. Now, I'm not going to just harp on that. There's some crazy stats there for you. But here's, you're like, oh man, was I not getting an encouragement? Yes, I'm going to give you an encouragement about this. Please hang on. Please listen to me. I want this to be encouragement. Maybe the encouragement is it's a freaking wake-up call, okay? A wake-up call. Being comfortable, uncomfortably overweight or obese or fat, whatever you want to call it. Trust me, I've been there. It was a ways back, but I've been there. It is one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever felt in my entire life. It's probably why I've been so passionate about helping people get on a different path. 2 causes of obesity and overweight, and I'm sure you most likely know what those are. Number 1, there's 2. It's an increased intake of food and an increase in physical inactivity. An increased intake of food and an increase of physical inactivity. So here's the thing. Why is it so hard if we know that, and we know we just got to be more active and we got to just take in less food? It's so hard because we get so pulled into what's trying to satisfy our needs, and laziness and not being active sometimes feel satisfying, right? It's a lot easier to not work out. It's a lot easier to not be active. It's a lot easier to not break a sweat. It's a lot easier to not put your muscles to strenuous work. It's a lot easier to just eat all of the delicious foods. And trust me, there's lots of delicious foods, I know that. But here's the consequences, right? We talked about those stats. How about these consequences, which is really, really kind of, I'm just chiming in. These may be familiar. This whole topic may be familiar. Consequences: heart disease, consequences; diabetes, consequences; musculoskeletal disorders, including arthritis, severe arthritis; cancer, some cancers, including breast, ovarian, prostate, liver. I wrote these things down because there's just so many things, and I don't need to go on and on. Liver, kidney, colon cancer, all those things are all now escalated due to your obesity or overweight, whatever you want to call it, being fat. So again, my point is, it's not to share with you in any kind of shaming manner, but just a wake-up call. And I want to encourage you. Oh, here's one more. I had this one. Obesity, check this out. Check this out. Obesity is the leading risk factor for premature deaths. 4.7 million people globally. Crazy. 1990, two more stats, and then I'm going to share the encouragement part of this, because I wanted to be encouraging. Please don't just pass this on and be like, oh, he's just bantering, going on about people being fat. That's not very nice. No, the reality is I want you to do something about it. And if you're not doing something about it, you're going to become part of the statistic. And the last thing I'd want for you, this might be a little hard talk, but you know what? Sometimes you need a little kind of tough love, right? Some of the best moments in my life, some of the best learning moments in my life, some of the darkest valleys and best learning, where I was getting the tough love. And I'll tell you, I look back at some of those moments of tough love is from myself when I was in college and when I was barely fitting in a 38 and I didn't have any muscle, I wasn't exercising, there was no, like, I was not pursuing health. And there was a bit of tough love that went down. And I'll tell you what, it was a hard time. But I will say that I'm so grateful today for two things, and I'm going to finish with that. But last stat was 1990, 4.5% of deaths were from obesity-related deaths. And that was 1990. That was when I graduated high school. Now, since then, it's almost, 30 years, we're clocking over 8%, almost doubled that in the last 30 years. Doubled. It's 8%. That's crazy. Again, you can do all the numbers, go look up all the research you want. The reality is it's not getting any better. It's all getting worse, and it's a hard thing to swallow. And here's my thing. Why am I sharing this with you? Why am I grateful? Why am I grateful for it? I'm grateful for it for two reasons. I'm grateful that I went through it. Sorry, because I have a little finished prayer that I did last week, and I want to do it again this week. I'm grateful that I did go through a season of life where I was fat. Like, I was fat. And I think it was, well, for me, maybe 20 pounds overweight. That's what was fat considered for me. I don't know what it looks like for you. Maybe 5 pounds overweight and you may feel fat. It doesn't matter, really. If you look in the mirror and you say, I feel fat, I'm fat, then that's all that really matters. No matter what anybody else says, I don't care who's looking at you, who's saying things, blah, 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 you're feeling fat. And I'm grateful that I went through it because I never want to go back there. Let me just say that again. I'm grateful that I went through that period of time. And now when I was going through it, it freaking sucked. I hated it. But I'm grateful that I went through that period of time, because I've never since, in the past 25 plus years, pursuing getting healthy and then pursuing that as a career choice for me and doing it and helping people over the past 25 years. I'm so grateful that I went through that, because I can understand where people are at when they come into my world. Now, it may be different. Circumstances may be different, and it may be 100 pounds versus 5 pounds, but it doesn't matter. Is that there was nothing I almost felt the time in my life where I felt more bad about myself, for so little self-confidence. I was stressed, anxious. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I couldn't go. I knew I had to make a choice to go in another direction. I knew that, and maybe as a being a God thing, it was before really having a relationship with God. I knew there was, and I pray, hey, what do I need to do? I had to sacrifice some things, a lot of things, relationships, friendships, time that I was spending on things that were making me fat, and that was really hard to go through. But I'm really glad that I went through those things, because it's helped define who I am right now. It's helped define me, maybe in my compassion that I have for other people who are trying to get on a healthier path. And again, the reality is you can continue to stay stuck. You can continue to be, grateful for all the delicious food and grateful that you can relax and you have all the, if you have all the time in the world and everything's just going well and you don't care, I'm going to die. This one kills me all the time. I'm going to die someday. I might as well just die fat and happy, right? Sure, you can go that route. Or you can realize that there's a lot more life to live when you're on a healthier path. You're on a more fit path. And I can tell you for the past 25 years, I've been pursuing that healthy, fit path. And I've been bringing a lot of people with me, and it's been an amazing ride. I can't imagine where I'd be at. Why I say I'm grateful today for not being fat. I can't imagine living my life if I continued on that same path that I was on in college. I may not even be around. I might have been part of that statistic, premature death. I might have heart disease. I might have high cholesterol, blood pressure. I may be in a terrible spot right now. Aches and pains and things that were preventable because obesity fatness is preventable, right? Does that make sense? So I'm going to finish this with a prayer. This may be a little tough love. It's Saturday. It's like, oh man, where I thought I'd get this really great, encouraging post. Well, I wanted to stimulate you to be encouraged to start doing something. You need my help. You can make one of the wisest investments in yourself and actually get on a call with me to see if we're a good fit, because I'm helping people change lives. And I'll tell you what, now I'm not the only coach out there, and I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot of answers. And having 25 years of experience up and down and in the trenches with people, I know what people have gone through. I've worked with people that were over 600 pounds. I've worked with people that were under 100 pounds and everything in between. And while I may focus mainly on men and women who are over 40, busy moms and dads, it's mainly because that's who I relate to in my season of life right now, pushing tipping point of 50, right? In another year or two. Whew. But I want to just share this with you, this prayer of gratitude, because I think it's relatable. And if you go back, if you look at the titles for all the last 5 days, Sunday through Friday, 6 days, is that they're all relatable to this, and they can also be relatable to you maybe right now in your spot of being overweight or obese. But I want to just finish with this prayer, because I think this will be just as it did last week, just a great way to finish today. Dear God, thank you for your amazing power and work in our lives. Thank you for your goodness, for your blessings over us. Thank you that you are able to bring us hope through even the darkest and toughest of times, strengthening us for your purpose. Thank you for your great love and care. Thank you for your mercy and grace. Thank you that you are always with us and will never leave us. Thank you for your incredible sacrifice, that we might have freedom and have life. Forgive us for when we don't thank you enough for who you are, for all that you do, for all that you've given up and helped us to set our eyes and our hearts on you every single day. Renew our spirits, fill us with your peace, your joy. We love you and we need you this day and every single day. We give you praise and thanks, for you alone are worthy. In Jesus' name, amen. So I say this prayer, and I was not going to actually say it, and I looked at it and I was like, it's so helpful. Here's the thing, regardless of where you're at, regardless if you consider yourself fat, you consider yourself chunky, overweight, obese, not where you want to be, healthy. Know two things: that you can choose a different path. But regardless of it, here's what I want to say, and I want you to be encouraged, is that God loves you regardless of where you're at. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. God's going to love you no matter what. But I also say is that don't stop there, because I also realize that God wants you to be at your best. Because he knows when you're at your best, physically, psychologically, emotionally, however you want to look at it. But let's just say, physically speaking, God's going to be able to do more things through you, greater things through you, if you're on this planet for longer, if you're able to be on here and be present and do things for his glory longer. So I'm encouraged from my experience in my past of being fat. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm not fat any longer, and I'm grateful that God's put me in a position to help many of you who maybe are struggling or stuck right now in a spot where you don't want to be a part of the statistic that's so incredibly hard to fathom. Millions and millions of people. So I'm going to encourage you to take that next step forward. If that looks like getting on a call with me, do so. If it means just going for a walk, do so. If it means getting up off the couch, do so. If it means talking to God and saying, God, how can you help me get through this period where I just am not happy with the way I look and feel anymore? Do so. It just means requiring that you choose a different way and you take that first step. So anyway, I hope this encouraged you. This is Coach Mark, the Daily Dose, episode 55. Tomorrow, we got episode 56. It's Sunday. Enjoy your long weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Take care and God bless.